All right, welcome those in the TFO to TFO next morning. Sure, it's a few days late, but it's content, and that's what we want. People were begging for it, they were pleading for it, tears were happening, and I have to stop the tears. I have to make the TFO faithful happy. And I'll do that by quickly duct taping together here a TFO next morning for week 13. So let's go ahead and recap those games. On Thursday Night Football, we had the Azerothian Assassins taking on the Weapon X's, and the Assassins squeaked by with a big victory, 31-28. This was a big game because the Weapon X's had been vying there for a wild card spot for a moment, and it looks like the Azerothian Assassins, who are at the bottom of that bad Crackle division, were able to go ahead and pull up an upset against Jobber and make him cry. Very nice. So if you can't win them all, might as well make people lose when they really need to win them all. That's what I always say. So then on the Sunday night special, we had the BOXHEAD Capers taking the Stellar Offenders, and the Offenders got the victory. Capers 7, Offenders 17. You gotta love the EGR here. Only one catch, but it's all he needed. You know what I'm saying? I was talking to Nick Dean, owner of the Stellar Offenders. You know, he hadn't got around to making that mini box this week, but we were talking that it's going to be Thanos, Titan Thanos. He had 3 big sacks during that game, and they really were able to put Animal on the back burner under 100 yards for a stellar running back, so it was a great matchup. All right, let's set up the Sunday afternoon games. Lost Survivors took on the 8-Bit Brigade. Survivors beat down that Brigade 38-14. If I remember correctly, John Blogg said that Summers has now broken the interception record. Way to go, Mark Summers. You are physically challenged. And then we had G.I. Joe taking on the DBZ squad, and the DBZ squad continue with a nice victory there. Joe's had 7, but squad had 20. World's Warriors faced off against the Hollywood Heroes, and the Warriors really impressed me here, 27-7. What really impressed me is they held Al Bundy under 100 yards. Not a lot of teams can say this. Clayton Willis, owner of the Hollywood Heroes, has been spewing some venom. He had some liable lies, slanderous slander about how I rigged his team in some way. And he even said that I might have some knowledge about Ryan Anderson, the commissioner, poisoning his players. I definitely didn't see Ryan pour something into the Gatorade before the game. I can tell you that right now for a fact. I know that I didn't see that. I didn't watch him. It wasn't a green substance. He wasn't hiding it under a trench coat and walked over to the sidelines and poured it in while Gary Busey was giving an emotional speech about love and terrorism. So I don't know what Clayton Willis is talking about, so he needs to shut the hell up. Robot Masters fought the Greek Legends, and the Greek Legends with a victory. Masters 30, Legends 35. I mean, the Masters, they need a miracle at this point, but I think that the X Project might be taking over, so we'll see in the future. The South Jersey Slashers facing off against them Pallet Poke Ballers. Slashers impressing again, 31 to the Ballers, 21. We had the Celestial Defenders taking on the All-American Alkies. This is a rematch of last year's 2 years ago, championship for MAD. So, I mean, these teams really know how to slug it out. And to slug it out they did, as the Alkies came the victors. Defenders 31, Alkies 34. Alkies look like they were the Alkies of old again. That's what we want to see, Kevin Hedrick. We want to see those Alkies busting some heads. So, great job, great victory. The WHOVIANS faced off against the Beer Gods, and in what can only be described as a surprise victory, the WHOVIANS were victorious, 21 to Beer Gods 14. I mean, I really don't know what to say other than the backup quarterback, Heineken, really blew the game for the Beer Gods. I mean, you can have the greatest everything, but backup quarterback is going to equal disaster sometimes, and that's just what happened here. The Racial Slurs fought the Westeros Guardians, and the Slurs just didn't have a shot with poor Spade in there and the bum out. Slurs only could get a field goal while the Guardians had 42 points, and this is a team that was 1-6, and they are making a run for it, people. Can they get a playoff spot? Can Westeros prove that they still got it? I mean, this game really was a defining moment for them, because they're in the conversation once again. Venture Industries fought the Raider All-Stars, and the Industries fall again. 7 to the All-Stars, 28. They're really missing Brock Sampson here. We're talking about a Venture Industries team that early on we thought that they were just the bee's knees, the cat's pajamas. The Monarch on defense with all the sacks. Brock Sampson just killing people everywhere and scoring touchdowns. But with Jefferson Twilight in there, it has been just horrible for Venture Industries. They really, really need Brock Sampson. And TMNT Torturers taking on the Rap Kings, and the Torturers with the victory, 35 to Kings 24. I like what Matt Bodenheimer said earlier this week on how people keep saying the Rap Kings are lucky. Well, they weren't lucky here at all. So, I mean, I think the Rap Kings have been a stellar team, especially for a rookie squad. So, TMNT really need a victory here to cement them as the top of their division. Their division's very close. It looks like an 8-8 might take that division. So the Turtles need to turtle power, especially with the new movie coming out and everything. You think that'll rejuvenate them? Maybe get them going a little bit more. So we'll see. Turtles had no passing yards and 1 interception. Wow. So everything happened on the ground there with the Super Shredder. What a beast of a man. Kevin Nash, he powerbombed Bob Backlund in like 7 seconds to win the WWF Championship, and he held it for over a year. So respect. The CHUMPS took on the Nocturne Maniacs. The Champs were the victors, 31 to the Maniacs, 28. Dan Severn still in there as the backup quarterback, but getting the job done. Not prettily, and I don't even know if prettily is a word, but it wasn't prettily, but he got the job done. This really sucks for the Nocturne Maniacs because it puts them pretty far back in the division now. And then on the Sunday Night Football, it was the Rainbow Unicorns fighting off against the WWF Hoffs in a interesting matchup, as the Unicorns were victors 6 to the Hoffs 0. These are really two squads that I don't know what to make. The Hoffs on paper look like $1 million. Rainbow Unicorns look like they're going to be a great defensive team, and then sometimes they're not. Here they are, especially against a Randy Savage that you know is going to be pounding that ball 13 times. So I guess the defense really came into effect there, and the Unicorns, they're showing they're not the worst. Yeah, John Balog, made fun of them for a long period of time, and the Unicorns have really proven to rise up. I'm a Unicorn myself, so party on, Unicorns. All right, so let's get to the standings here. In the bad snap, we got a tie for the lead with the Stellar Offenders and the Hollywood Heroes, both 8-4. Lost Survivors 7-5. Boxhead Capers 6-6, and the WHOVIANS 5-7. In the bad crackle division, we got the Beer Gods on top, 8-4. DBZ squad behind them, 7-5. Weapon X's and the Raider All-Stars are both 6-6, and the Azrothian Assassins are in the back, 3-9. In the bad pop division, the Turtles are supreme, 6-6. The Racial Slurs and the 8-Bit Brigade are 5-7, and the Nocturne Maniacs are in the rear there, 4-8. In the Mad Snap division, the World's Warriors is on top. They're 8-3-1. Venture Industry 6-6. Rainbow Unicorns 5-7, and the WWF Hoffs 4-8. In the Mad Crackle division, the Greek Legends are 8-4. They're on top. The Alkies are 7-5. Westeros is tied with the Champs Chumps. They're both 6-6. And the Robot Masters are 2-10. And then in the Mad Pop division, we got the South Jersey Slashers at 8-4, along with the Rap Kings 8-4. They're both tied for the lead. The Defenders are only a half game back, 7-4-1. The Pallet Poke Ballers are 5-7, and the G.I. Joe are 3-9. Injury report time. So, a lot of injuries this week. One that was pretty big was the loss of Admiral Akbar of the Boxhead Capers. He's going to be out again. That's going to suck for them because Dr. Teeth is in. Dr. Teeth is back, man. He looked like he was just trying to throw interceptions. So, Great Gonzo also got injured in that same game. He's also out. The Spider-Man for the Weapon X's, he's going to be missed. He's a great target. Grom Hellscream of the Azrothian Assassins is out. That's their number one running back. They're a pass squad, but they like to run a little bit, so they're going to miss him. Simon Belmont, a great returner for the 8-Bit Brigade's out. Same thing for the Pizza Boy Kino Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Cousin Butch just can't seem to stay healthy. He got hurt. Poor guy. WWF Hoffs. The Imp Tyrion, Westeros Guardians, Game of Thrones is back, so he might be dead for all we know. So, but you can bring him back to life now, I guess, with some sort of special potion. Or is that a spoiler alert? I don't even watch the show, so. But Tyrion's out. King Priam of the Greek Legends, he's been out for a little bit. And the hot cosplay girl, the CHUMPS, is also out. I think she got injured during that clusterfuck of a game where, everybody got injured. Returning next week, though, is tight end Charlie Kelly of the Hollywood Heroes. Finally, the BRIGADEs get their quarterback back as Rogue Dead Guy will be taking the field. The Turtles want their receiver back, and Leonardo will be there. Thankfully, the bum of the SLURS is coming back. Antonio Bean or his backup will also be back, but at least the bum will be out there in full force. Speaking of a guy that's really needed for his team, there's Brock Sampson of the Venture Industries. King Agamemnon of the Greek Legends will also be making his return. He's a returner. Returner. Kyle Kinesi of the CHUMPS. I wonder if they want him really back because Dan Severn's been looking pretty good out there, but Kinesi will be back next week. Mr. Furious of the CHUMPS will also be back. He was injured in that whole cluster of a match where everybody got injured. And Philip Dreyfus, his own uncle, running back 4, he'll be back next week. He's a returner as well. So, get well soon, guys. I don't like people injured. It's only if you're injured when I think it's funny. So, okay. Take a drink here. So, top 5. My top 5 this week is my top 5 most anticipated games coming up. So, we're at the home stretch here. We got week 14, 15, 16, and 17 left. That is 4 weeks left of TFO action that we still got to go through here, folks. And there are some games that I have looked at and pinpointed with my eye holes as games that I want to watch. Games that I think are going to be stellar, that are going to change the tide of history and crown new supremacy here in TFO. So here's my picks of my top 5. The games that I think are most interesting coming up, the most anticipated ones for me. So number 5 is the Week 14 Sunday Night Football matchup, the South Jersey Slashers taking on the Rap Kings. Both these teams are currently 8-4, and they are both tied for the lead of the Mad Pop division. So this game is going to go a long way into determining who the Mad Pop champion is going to be, or even who the Mad Pop is going to send as representative or representatives. Both these teams could be playing for a playoff spot. Both teams could be knocking each other out, too. So, both these teams are at full power as well. So, the South Jersey Slashers going up against the Rap Kings. There is going to be no question here who the best is. This is the first time that these two will meet. They will meet again later on this season. Number 4, the Week 15 Sunday Night Football matchup. The Raider All-Stars taking on the Weapon X's. Both teams are currently 6-6, and both are on the hunt for a wild card playoff spot, but it looks like only one of them might get that spot, and it could easily be the winner of this contest. Plunkett has been throwing like the Plunkett of old, 2014 bad offensive MVP style. I took him in fantasy last week. I'm taking him in fantasy this week, because if Plunkett keeps this up, the sky is the limit. But you don't forget that the Wolverine is on the other side of that ball. The Weapon X's know how to use him, especially since his return. He's going to be running that ball a lot. So the Raider All-Stars defense really needs to kick it into gear. The big X factor here is, I don't know what the big X factor is, to be honest, man. We don't know if, I was trying to look at this from an objective point, but what if, I know the Spider-Man is out right now. If the Spider-Man is still out in Week 15, this could easily be a Raider All-Star victory because it is hard for the Weapon X's to run that runaround that he does. The Spider-Man has that runaround, and if he's not there, that's going to hurt him. The other thing that's going to be great about this matchup is the Raider All-Stars have Tim Brown as a kick and punt returner. That guy has been amazing all season. He has 1 or 2 kick return touchdowns, and he has the only punt return touchdown this season. And that's tied for only 2 other people have ever had punt return touchdowns. So that's a pretty impressive resume right there. So the Weapon X's really need to get healthy, and they've got a good shot here. But this could really be determining who might make the playoffs and who might not. So we'll have to see, but my eyes are on that matchup. They already met, actually. They met in Week 11, and the Weapon X's actually defeated the Raider All-Stars by 4 points, 28-24. So you know this is going to be a close contest. Number 3, the Week 16 Sunday Night Football game, the 8-Bit Brigade taking on the TMNT Torturers. TMNT leads the Bad Pop with 6-6, but 8-Bit Brigade is right behind them with 5-7. And don't forget the Racial Slurs are right there too, 5-7. So this matchup might determine a lot. No matter what, this one is going to be interesting because Blog and FK are going to be commentating it. That's right, they're going to be commentating their own matchup. So get the censors out, kids, because this one pits brother against brother, and only one can survive. Just like only one survived during Week 8, when the TMNT Torturers decimated the 8-Bit Brigade 42-21. Will history repeat itself? Will this matchup be for the division? Will this matchup be for a playoff spot? Or will both of these guys succumb to the Racial Slurs? Or will the Nocturne Maniacs make a comeback? It's all very interesting, but my eye is on this matchup. I think it's going to be a really good one. Number 2, the Week 17 Sunday Night Football matchup, Hollywood Heroes taking on the BOXHEAD Capers. This is the last game of the regular season. It's going to be a barn burner. We're going to go ahead and send out the Season of Odin, the regular Season of Odin, in style. The Hollywood Heroes is currently tied for the bad snap right now with 8-4, and the BOXHEAD is 6-6. So both of these teams are looking for playoffs, and so this could be for 1, maybe even 2 spots. It really depends on the upcoming matchups here. This game could even determine the bad snap champion. We don't know yet. But regardless, we will get to see the 2016 regular season end in style with Al Bundy and Animal duking it out. It's going to be a hellraiser. And my number 1 most anticipated game coming up in the regular season, that is the Week 17 Sunday afternoon game, the Rap Kings taking on the South Jersey Slashers. That's right. These two will end their feud for the Mad Pop division with a Sunday afternoon game. This could easily be for the division, seeing as how they are currently tied for that division lead. But it could be for 1, maybe even 2 playoff spots. The outcome of this game could really determine several spots over multiple divisions, because a lot of these teams are real close on the cusp. And so one team's victory and another team's defeat could mean 1, 2, maybe even 3 teams being knocked out of the playoff picture. The Rap Kings have been called lucky, but Eminem has stood up. But Jason Voorhees looks to knock him down. This game is my most anticipated because win, lose, or draw, I know this game will change the 2016 playoff picture. And I love it when people are pissed off and victory and all that. So, alright, and then see you next. Tecmo is what it says, but how much time did I do here? Am I doing good? 18 minutes? Hey, that ain't bad, man. I think I talked about a multitude of things, and it was very animated. I'd like to congratulate myself. Maybe an Emmy. So let's talk about other stuff, because, you know, that's what I do here afterwards. I like to pull up some things and see some things, and, you know, when I was picking the top 5 there, I did look at some other games that I really think are going to be big games, but I just couldn't seem to fit them in some way. One of those was during Week 16, is the Rap Kings against the Celestial Defenders. Celestial Defenders is right up there with the Rap Kings and the South Jersey Slashers. They're all vying for spots there, and they're all playing each other in some capacity. So that matchup during Week 16 is going to be a pretty big one. It's just right now the Celestial Defenders are under the South Jersey Slashers and Rap Kings, so I think both of those matchups are much more intriguing at this point from what we can see. So, I mean, that's just how it is. So, Lost Survivor against Stellar Offenders, Week 15 Thursday Night Football looks like a real good one, too. You know, Lost isn't out of it. They are just slightly behind. That division is really going to come down to the wire. And all these teams are playing each other, you know. So one team's win and one team's loss could elevate a third team in some capacity. So, you know, you just got to keep winning and you just got to keep duking it out and moving forward. I'm also, during Week 15, looking at that Racial Slurs versus the Hollywood Heroes. I think that's going to be a pretty big matchup, too, especially if the Bum is back. That's going to be very interesting. The Bum versus Al Bundy. That's box office right there, baby. Box office. During week 14, I do like the Saturday night special game, the Raider All-Stars and the DBZ squad. We were talking about the Raider All-Stars being on fire right now. The DBZ squad is right behind the Beer Gods, and the last thing they need is their brother. That's right, these guys are brothers. He doesn't need his brother coming in there and jeopardizing what has been just an amazing season for Broly and the DBZ squad. You know, Seth McKee has really put a nice system together here, especially after his rocky first season. He's learned a lot. And so the Raider All-Stars are a mainstay here. You know, they've been here since season 1. They've had a lot of success. And so this is a big-time matchup. One of these brothers is going to piss off the other. And that's what I like here in TFO. I do like the Azerothian Assassins taking on the Beer Gods on Sunday afternoon for week 14 as well. Just because the Azerothian Assassins just had a big victory against the Weapon X's this week. And so, I mean, the Beer Gods had a tough loss, and they really need to rebound from that loss. So I'm wondering if the Azerothian Assassins can use that momentum and kind of shake up that bad Crackle division. I think that'll be interesting. I mean, there are other games, too. Boxhead Capers taking on the Celestial Defenders during Week 14 there on a Sunday afternoon game. That game was actually specifically requested by Boxhead Caper owner Anthony Moyer. He wanted to test his mettle against the Defenders, and so that is going to be an epic. So be sure to view that one. I mean, there's just a lot of good matches coming up. So stay tuned to your TFO channel guide, because you know that we're going to bring you the best entertainment in Tecmo Fantasy owner history. Because I think we're the only fantasy owner league in history. So, but we bring in you history every week. That's what matters. So, I mean, other than that, yeah. I mean, I didn't do anything for the playoffs or, you know, seeing who's making what spots. We can do that real quick, I guess, because, I mean, Offenders are on top right now, so they would get a spot. Beer Gods are on top, they get a spot. And the Turtles are on top, they get a spot. Turtles wouldn't get the bye. The Beer Gods and the Offenders would get the bye. Wild card wise, it would be the Hollywood Heroes, the Lost Survivors, and the DBZ squad. So, you know, 7 and 5s are making it right now. I mean, it's going to come down, man. I'm going to tell you, it's weird because, like, the Bad Pop division, they're most likely not sending a wild card. I mean, they're 2 games down, and there are, 4 games to go. So they gotta hope they win, probably out, because they're 5 and 7, the SLURS and the 8-Bit Brigade. So, I mean, they're gonna need 9 and 7 to get. I think there's a possibility of a 9 and 7 not making it, and that's what happened last year. If you remember, the Turtles didn't make it last year. They were 9 and 7, but they didn't have the tiebreaker they needed, and so they actually lost out and didn't get to go to the playoffs. So I think we could have a situation like that again this year. I mean, if it doesn't happen in the bad, it's most likely going to happen in the mad, because there are a lot of teams with a lot of victories. I mean, we got an 8-3-1 World's Warriors from the Mad Snap. We got an 8-4 Mad Crackle Greek Legends. And then in the Mad Pop, we got 2 8-4s. We got the South Jersey Slashers and the Rat Kings. So 1, 2, 3, 4 teams already. The Defenders would get a spot. They're 7-4-1, so they're right up there. The All-American Alcoholics would get a spot. They're 7-5. And then it would come down to the tiebreaker between the Venture Industry, Westeros Guardians, and CHUMPS. They're all 6-6. Westeros has beaten the Champs in the tiebreaker, and then they're beating the Westeros Guardians. Would get a wild card spot right now. This is a team that has won 5 games in a row. This is a team that was 1-6 during week 7, and we just threw them away. So it's just like the Rainbow Unicorns. People had them thrown away. They're 5-7. They're making a heck of a comeback this season. I mean, if that team goes 8-8, I'll be impressed. Color me impressed. And I think that would have been a successful season for an experiment on a defense and how much money you should spend. And I think that we've all learned that just pouring money into a team, I think, and I don't know anything, but it's just based on how many games I've seen, everything. I think sometimes when you put too many points in a player, it causes that player to have problems. I've seen players overrun their spot. I've seen players be too fast. I know you want fast players, but sometimes you don't want them so fast that they are just making mistakes. I've seen really fast players just plow in instead of zigzag. So it's interesting as we go forward in this TFO. I don't have all the answers, I just program it like it is. Clayton Willis trying to start shit is what he's trying to start. And if he's got a problem with me, if he wants to go some rounds of Tecmo, that is, we can go some rounds of Tecmo. I'll bring the Nintendo over and we can hash it out, brother. Because you know what? I ain't poisoning your players. I don't play that game. I like Al Bundy. I helped sign him. I was a big proponent of getting Al Bundy in here. When you were talking about running an Aqua Teen Hunger Force team, I was telling you need to sign Al Bundy on the dotted line. So I am a big proponent of Al Bundy. So I don't want to hear no shit about the Hollywood heroes whining and crying when they get bitch slapped by the World's Warriors. And let's talk about the World's Warriors for a moment and how amazing that team has been. A team to hold Al Bundy under 100 yards. I don't know what kind of historical steroids you can give historical figures, but I'm telling you what. Dale Johnson Tecmo Company Incorporated Limited Esquire, whatever the hell he's calling his business of Tecmo, he knows his business of Tecmo. Dale Johnson, bravo, bravo. So I think that's going to be a force to be reckoned with. I still think the World's Warriors and Celestial Defenders are both going to squeak in with that stupid tie. One tie. 4 seasons it took us though, but tie. Why a tie? How is that to be settled? Who's the better team? They're both just gloating that they tied because, they're equal. I don't like equal. Pisses me off. All right. I think that's about it. I think we did a good show here today. You guys were calling for it, and hopefully you enjoy it. And we got week 14 coming up. It's going to be a really good week. Week 15 is going to be a better week. Week 16 is going to be the best week. And then week 17 is going to be the week of ultimates. And then we're going to go into the playoffs. And we got some great news coming up about playoffs, I tell you what. So you guys stay tuned because I want to share the information. But, the commissioner, he's still making some dotted line signs. You know what I'm saying? He's got the contracts, the red tape. He's taking care of business. Ryan Anderson's been a hell of a commish. He's been doing a lot of stuff backstage. He's been doing a lot of stuff for me, image-wise, hosting the Thursday Night Football. We talk a lot about Tecmo and TFO and what direction we want to take it in and how I want to propose it to the world. You know what I'm saying? And he's really agreed to a lot of radical changes in TFO. And I don't know if y'all are going to enjoy them or not, but, some of those changes include the Backup Baller Club. We announced that, and we're going to be telling you guys who those people are going to be soon. We're going to keep posting different information on the boards for you guys to decide. You guys can have a voice on who those backups are. Some people don't care, but I do. In season 1, a great backup that's not getting enough love is the Homeless Clown. And I'll tell you what, the Homeless Clown had the first ever punt return touchdown in TFO history. He's a backup. A backup sucks. And you know what? If a backup can get a punt return touchdown, that's a guy that gets my respect, I tell you what. So don't vote based on the fantasy points they get or whatnot. Look at them stats and decide for yourself who should be immortalized in TFO history as one of the greatest backups of all time. And we're also going to be announcing some other stuff for other players. We want to recognize the greats of TFO. That's part of what this all is about. You guys spend a lot of time on your players and your teams. And honestly, not everyone can be a TFO champion. We only have 3 of them right now. And we're going to have a 4th coming up. But in TFO history, there has been many great players. And I think that they deserve to be etched in history in some way. So me and Ryan Anderson, we're talking about stuff like that. We're going to give you the skinny on it as it comes closer. There's going to be some changes to the playoffs coming up. You guys are going to like that kind of stuff. I think you are. If you don't, you can lynch me. Oh, well. I mean, we just got some great news. I've been really enjoying TFO. I really have. It's something that I didn't think it would become like this. This is weird to me because I didn't envision it like this, but I really like what it is. I like that we get passionate about something that we have very little to no control over almost. We can put our points where we think it's going to be good, but, the computer logic, the condition of the players, there's a lot of factors there that we can't control and do get us upset. Like, why did you go on 4th down? Why did you run when it's 4th and 83? You know, dumb stuff. But then I've seen 4th and 83 and they run in a touchdown. You know, it's Tecmo. And love it or leave it. You know what I say? That's what I say. So, Bazamba. That's my new catchphrase. So, all right. Well, I'm gonna head out. I'm gonna post this and see you next Tecmo.